Hello everybody, my name is Molly. I'm a speech and language therapist from Evelina London Children and Young People's Community Speech and Language Therapy. Welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be talking about communication and behaviour, and I'll also be sharing a tip of the week. The video today is aimed towards children who are primary school aged, but please do have a look at the page for videos aimed towards children of lots of other different ages, and of course there's always more videos to come. The activity I'm going to be doing today is about knowing the size of the problem to do with communication and behaviour, and I'm going to be using some visuals to break this down. You can find these visuals online, and I'll show you where you can find these online if you'd like to have a look at them, or even if you'd like to print them out. But today I'm going to be just making them with a few pens and a piece of paper. So all you need is 2 to 3 pieces of paper, some pens. If you've got coloured pens, that's great, but if not, that's no problem. And that's all you need for today's session. I'm also going to be using a visual timetable to show you and your child the activities we'll be doing today and what order we'll be doing them in. This is a really simple version. All you need for this is a few pieces of paper and a pen. So if you've got some pens and paper ready, then let's get started. This is my visual timetable for today. So what I've done is I've written out the things we're going to do today in order so we can cross them off as we go along. First we're going to say hello. Then I'm going to talk about the top tip of this video. We'll talk about today's activity, was about using an emotion scale, and then we'll say goodbye. So hello is finished. I'm going to take my pen and cross off hello, because hello is finished. That's hello finished. Now we're going to move on to our top tip. So today's top tip is about becoming an advocate for your child. This means speaking up for your child's needs. It's also about helping your child's self-advocacy. So this is about your child speaking up for themselves and feeling more confident in themselves and asking for what they need. Children with speech, language and communication needs often have difficulty expressing themselves. For example, they might find it hard to make requests for their wants and needs, or they might find telling people their feelings verbally quite challenging. Communication does not always equal behaviour. So just because a child is showing a certain behaviour doesn't necessarily mean it's related to communication. However, it can be helpful to think, is the communication difficulty causing the child around them distress? We could consider, is the child able to communicate their basic needs? For example, if they need the toilet. Do they know what to do when other people don't understand them? And is this perhaps a cause of frustration? Or perhaps is the child using explicit language that might be upsetting to other people? And that's the kind of reason for the difficulty here. By recognising these difficulties, we can help children develop their self-advocacy skills. We can help children, for example, to express their own wants and needs, express their opinions, their likes and dislikes that are important to them. To further help children self-advocate, here are a couple of tips. So one might be not insisting that children use their words or say that more politely. The child might not have the language skills to understand and respond to this, so children might become dysregulated or shut down. It might be helpful to respond to any attempts the child makes to communicate their needs. This might be verbally, so using words, or it might be non-verbally. For example, perhaps they are reaching or looking towards what they want. It could be helpful for you to respond to any of these attempts of communication to help your child express what they want. You can also, throughout the day, create lots of opportunities for your child to communicate. For example, throughout the day you could offer lots of choices. Like at snack time, you could offer 2 choices of the 2 different snacks you've got available. You can also model how to express their needs. So as an example, if you're offering lots of choices, then you could model expressing a choice by pointing or looking at or reaching for one of the choices to help your child know what to do to express their choice. Finally, another tip that can be helpful is providing visual schedules for routines so your child knows what's happening next. This can particularly make any kind of transition between activities a little bit easier because they know what's coming next. So it can help reduce anxiety. We already have some videos up about using a visual schedule or visual timetable, so please do have a look at them if that sounds useful for you. Okay, so that is our top tip finished, which means I'm going to cross off top tip from our timetable. Because top tip is finished. We're now going to look at using an emotion scale to help children express and regulate their emotions. What you'll need for this is a few pieces of paper and your pens, and have a think about a particular area of difficulty we're going to focus on today. I'll talk you through this. So today's activity is all about using visuals to help your child recognise, express and regulate their emotions. So to start with, we're going to be using visuals to help your child express their emotions. I'm going to be using something called a 5-point scale. There are lots of resources for this online, which you can find if you want to, but you don't need to. If you want to find these online, then this website is quite helpful. So it is localoffer.southwark.gov.uk, and you can search on there for 5-point scale. This will link you to a PDF, which you can have a look at on your screen or you can print off. However, today I'm going to be drawing basically everything on that PDF, so you don't necessarily need to find this or print this off. So all you need is your pens and paper. The first thing we're going to do, as I mentioned, is identify some kind of trigger or area of difficulty for your child. For example, this might be a change in routine that they find very, very stressful, or for example, maybe playing with large groups of people that they find difficult. If you'd like to, you could try talking with your child and explore why these areas are difficult. Perhaps you can choose the area together with your child. What we're then going to do, once we've identified this trigger, is break down the area into 5 parts, and this is where the visual element comes in. We're going to have a visual chart with a scale of 1 to 5, and this is going to help us illustrate the levels of this situation. For the example I'm going to be showing you today, we're going to be looking at the levels of stress a child might be experiencing. For example, if there's a change in routine that they're not expecting or they find difficult. So what we're going to have is you start by writing the numbers 1 to 5 going up the side of your piece of paper. If you want to, you can add colours to this, like having red going up to green. So the colours represent the different levels of this situation in terms of the stress the child is feeling. So 1 would be feeling no stress and they're feeling okay, whereas 5 might be the most stress your child is feeling in this situation. I've come up with some labels for this chart as an example, but try to use your child's own words where possible. So use the words they use to describe these different levels when you're talking to them. I'll go through my example. So 1 is, I'm doing good. I feel okay. 2, something is bothering me. I may feel worried. 3, I'm getting annoyed. I may be moving around. So this is very individual to different children. For some children, when they're getting a bit annoyed, so at this kind of level 3, you might be able to see this because they're moving their body around more. This is just an example. Change this for what your child says using their words. 4, I feel upset. I may say things that are hurtful. And 5, so this is the most stress your child might be feeling. I'm ready to explode. I feel like screaming or hitting. Again, this is just an example of the kind of words. I'm ready to explode. I would change this depending on the words that your child uses to make this personal and relatable for them. The next step is exploring what each of these levels, in terms of feelings, actually look like and feel like for the child, both how they feel within themselves and how that will look to other people. It's important to start recognising what your child looks and feels like, so when we see them start to get anxious or stressed, we can notice the facial expressions, body movements, or noises that they're using, so we can help identify it and also help your child to recognise their emotions. You can then add these to the chart. So I've done a couple of examples here. So the clearest example would be the one at 3. I'm getting annoyed, I may be moving all over. So in my example, this is the words the child's use, that they're moving all over. So perhaps when they're annoyed, they look quite restless, and maybe they're jigging their legs up and down, or they're moving their body a lot more than they usually would. This would be an example of what this level looks like to other people. You can add this depending on what your child thinks in terms of how it feels within themselves. So these are some words like I may feel worried, and how it looks like to other people. You can then add this to your 5-point scale. The next step, once you've done this, is think about what are we going to do about it. This is very individual for your child, and we're going to come up with ideas of things to do for each of these levels that might help your child to feel a bit better, which is more emotionally regulated. It doesn't really matter what the idea is within reason. I'm going to give you a few examples. It's up to you. I've done this on a separate piece of paper, but you could also add another column to the 5-point scale we've already made. Again, I've done the numbers 1 to 5 going up the side in kind of rainbow colours from red to green. Starting at the bottom, so 1 is now you're okay, so you don't need to do anything at this stage. 2, so this is when something was starting to bother your child. Here are some ideas. So maybe your child likes to have a squeeze. By this I mean perhaps they have a squeezy toy that they find quite calming to squeeze. Or perhaps they like to hug a familiar adult and they found that quite calming. Or I've put play Lego. Perhaps your child has a game that they find particularly calming that you might want to try at this point. For 3, I've put an idea of having 10-star jumps. Some children might find this helpful. For 4, for example, your child might find that going for a walk helps at this point, or perhaps they like to listen to a certain song. And then 5, so you might remember this is the kind of top level where your child is the most stressed they might be feeling, and it was described as feeling like they're ready to explode. Perhaps your child finds that at this point going to a quiet place is the most helpful thing they can do. These are just examples. This will be very individual to what your child finds helpful. So at this point, hopefully you have identified some kind of trigger, and you've made your 5-point scale for what it looks like each of these 5 points. Have a think about how it feels and looks like for the child, and some ideas of things you can do at each of these levels. You can then use this throughout your day. So ideally you can create regular opportunities through the day for your child to identify how they're feeling. You might even find the 5-point scale quite helpful to come back to identify how they're feeling. You can also model this using your words and language. So for example, you might model how to express your emotions, like I'm feeling really tired this morning, my body feels really heavy, or oh, something is starting to bother me, I'm feeling a bit annoyed. And you can kind of model this using the 5-point scale. You can also help your child to identify the physical sensations associated with these emotions. So talk about how do you know when you feel angry? How does that feel in your body? What can also be really helpful is to come back to these ideas of things that your child can do at each of the levels. Sometimes these are called self-regulation strategies. Help your child to access these when they're feeling dysregulated or upset. So you might help your child to remember when they're angry, they might want to do 10-star jumps as one of the examples. Okay, so that is our emotion scale finished. So I'm going to cross that off my visual timetable. Emotion scale is finished, and it's time to say goodbye. So I hope you found the activity and the top tip useful today. Please do also try and have a go at using a visual timetable with your child at home. It can be really helpful to help your child understand a routine and so they can see what's coming next. You can do it for a kind of shorter activity like I've modelled today, or or you could use it over the course of the day. If after this video you have any questions or queries, do have a look on the Facebook page or the website, and particularly in the advice and support section. This is the address for the website, www.evelina.nhs.uk/community speech and language. Have a look at the advice and support section on there. If you still can't find the answer to your question, then you can email us and someone will get back in contact with you. This is the email address, gst-tr.contactslt@nhs.net. If you email that address, someone will get back in contact with you. Thank you so much for joining me today in this video. I really hope you found it useful. Do have a look out for more videos to come, and remember you can watch this video or any of the videos we already have uploaded at any time on our page. Thank you very much. Goodbye.